Hello everyone, it's me, Veganstar, and welcome to part 5 of my low poly PS1 style warrior cat tutorial. In this part, we will be rigging the model. So, to get started, let's go ahead and go into render preview so that we can gaze upon our lovely texture. Okay, now first thing you want to do is hit 3 to go into the side view, and then go to add, armature, and single bone. Now we want to name our armature Forest Wind Rig. And we should name our character mesh Forest Wind Mesh. Or whatever you want to call your character. It's up to you. But I would recommend sort of naming this part, the character's model. I would recommend naming that character name underscore mesh, and then taking this armature and naming that character name underscore rig. Now, click on the armature, go to object data properties, this little green running man right here, and go under viewport display and put in front. Now, this is important because this way, when we start putting the bones into the mesh, we will still be able to see them. Okay, so make sure you have the armature selected and hit tab to go into edit mode. Okay, hit Shift D to duplicate this bone and place one right about here. Pull it down so it's pointing in towards the belly, and this will be our pelvis bone. Extrude another bone going across the belly, then extrude one more going across the chest, then another going up through the neck, and then have one going straight up into the head. Next, we should have bones for our tail. So first, let's put it into wireframe mode so we can see the segments for our tail's mesh. And then just put one bone for each of the pieces. Okay, now we can go back into render preview and then grab this little part of the bone right here and press E to extrude. Like, remember, press E to extrude for all of the bones. I forgot to mention that. Press for each of the bones, press E to extrude, then pull it down here, and then press E, pull it down to the knee, press E, pull it down to the ankle, press E, and pull it down to the foot, and then one more down to the ground where the toes are. And then grab this bone, press X, and delete bones. Next, grab this bone right here, press E to extrude down like that, then press E to extrude to the elbow, press E and extrude to the wrist, then press E and extrude to the toes, and then grab this bone and delete that. Okay. Now we can go into press 1 to go into the front view. Grab this bone, press E to extrude down like that, and then press E to extrude and go up like that. Grab this bone and delete it. And now, let's grab this bone and pull it back so that it sits in the ear. And then grab this bone, and you only need to do this if you plan on having the irises or pupils move around. If you plan on just keeping them stationary, they don't move around or anything like that, then you can then you don't have to do this part. But if you do want them to move around, you duplicate this bone and then slide it forward. Okay, and then next, want to grab this bone and then shift grab this bone, press E, right click, and then pull it out like that. And then with this bone, press E, right click, pull it out like that. Press E, right click, and pull it out like that. Now you want to grab this bone, press Control P, Hold P, and press Clear Parent. Press this bone, Alt P, and Clear Parent. This one, Alt P, Clear Parent, and then move it inward. Alt P, Clear Parent, move this one forward. Then select and grab all of these bones. Go into the front, and then slide them across so that they're inside of the legs. Now, we need to name our bones. So starting with this one, we will call this one Root. Then let's name the tail next. We'll name this one Tail dot 1, Tail dot 2, Tail dot 3, and Tail dot 4. And just make sure to name each one for however many tail bones you have. Then grab this one, name this one Pelvis. Grab this one, name this one Belly. Grab this one, name this one Chest. Grab this one, name this one Neck. Grab this one, name this one Head. Grab this one, name this one Eyes. Grab this one and name this one Ear dot L, and make sure you add the dot L. And grab this one and name this one Upper Leg dot L, and then Lower Leg dot L. Ankle dot L, and foot dot L. This one is upper arm dot L, lower arm dot L. This one hand dot L. Now, I would recommend naming these bones this way because it is simpler and easier to simply name them things like foot and hand rather than front paw and back paw, because you also have to name them for the side that they're on, and that gets really tedious really fast. Okay. So, for this one, I usually abbreviate the name. So, hind, pole, vector, dot, L. and hind ik dot l. This one is front pole vector dot l, and this one is front ik dot l. Okay, and with all of these bones named, go ahead and select the whole thing and hit symmetrize. And because you put .l for the ones on the left side, the ones on the right side now say .r. It's beautiful. Now, make sure to save that. Now, we can go into pose mode, grab this bone right here, go into bone constraint properties, add inverse kinematics, set the target to force wind rig. Now this is part of why it's important to name your mesh and name your rig. It makes it so much easier to find things. And then why it's also important to name your bones, makes it easier to find things. This is the left ankle, so select hind ik.l, and then once again, for the pole target, select the rig, and then hind pole vector .l. Now, don't worry that it suddenly goes off like that. That's completely normal behavior. What you do is first, since this is the hind leg, you set the chain length to 3. Since that's pretty good length that I find that works for digitigrade legs. And set the pole angle and experiment with it a little bit. Like 90 degrees doesn't work. And you can try -90. And there we go. -90 works perfectly fine. Now let's grab this one, this back paw right here, and go to add bone constraint and copy rotation. Then go into the rig and select hind ik.l and select all of those, hit local with parent and local with parent. And then, well, there you go. Now you have a working IK for that leg. Now, simply repeat the process with this leg. Select this bone, the ankle, go into inverse kinematics, select forest wind rig as your target. Since this is the right one, we'll select hind ik.r. And then for the pole target, select the rig, and then go to hind pole vector.r, set the chain length to 3, and then just experiment with a little bit with the pole angle. I usually find that like iterations of 90 degrees tend to work, like 90, 180, -90, -180. That tends to work the best to make it go into the correct direction. Now select this foot and go to add copy rotation, set the target to the rig and the bone to the hind ik.r. Select all of those, local with parent and local with parent. Then test it a little bit and it works. Next, well, let's save it in case anything goes wrong. Now let's select the lower arm .l go add bone constraint, inverse kinematics, target forest wind rig, bone FIK, 4IK.L, pole target forest wind rig, and front pole vector.L. Set the chain length to 2, since this is the front leg. And let's see if, yeah, 90 degrees works well for this one. Once again, grab this front foot, go under bone constraint, go to copy rotation, select all 3 of these, hit, make sure to select the bone FIK.L, local with parent, and local with parent. And there you go. Now, for the last one, inverse kinematics, target forest wind.rig, bone is FIK.R, pole target, forest wind rig, FPV.R, set the chain length to 2, and the pole angle 90 works here. And grab this one, copy rotation, forest wind.rig, FIK.R, select all 3 of these, local with parent and local with parent. And a little bit of a test, and there you go. Got all the IKs set up. Okay, now that we have the IKs nice and set up, it is time to do the weight painting. So first go into object mode, then grab your mesh, and then shift select your rig, and then put Control P, and with empty groups. Now we can hit the little eye right here to hide the rig temporarily. Select the mesh. Hit tab to go into edit mode. Just make sure to click out here to make sure you deselect anything you might have had previously selected. Then go into object data properties. And then we'll start with the pelvis. It's like, don't really add any weight to the pole vectors or the IKs or the root bone, but I forgot to select non-deform on those bones. But you know, it's not a big deal if you do it by hand. No, nothing terrible happens. Okay, so make sure you have face select active, and then select all of the faces for the pelvis. Make sure you leave these faces that are connecting to the lower leg unselected. Only grab the upper half of them. Only grab these ones right up here. Leave these ones alone. Okay. Then grab these two. Check around to make sure that you have all of these faces selected. Check inside the tail. Okay. Then make sure you have pelvis selected and hit assign. Now click outside to deselect all of those faces. Now select the faces for the belly. This one's a lot simpler due to how I model these characters. Simply go all around like that, select all the faces for the belly, then hit assign. Now deselect all of those, click on the chest. Select all the faces for the chest. Again, remember to include these 3 little faces that are connecting to the upper arm, but don't select these ones on the bottom. And then keep selecting the faces for the chest. Okay, once you have all of them selected, you can go ahead and hit assign, then click out of that, then go to neck, and you can just hover over the neck faces and hit L to select link. Because I have a seam going around the base of the head, it will only select the faces for the neck. So go ahead and assign that to neck, and then click out to unselect all those faces, and then you can hover over the head, press L, and once again it will only select the faces for the head because I have a seam going around the neck. Okay, assign that, click head, assign, and then hit assign, then click out to unselect the faces, and then for ear L, press linked, and then linked again. Since I have a seam separating the outer ear from the inner ear, make sure that you have the entire ear selected, and then hit ear, and then click on ear L, assign, make sure to select all the faces for the right ear, click ear.r, hit assign, click out to make sure you unselect everything, ignore eyes since that's not meant to be a deformed bone. Okay, now for upper arm.l, we can select, now you can select these 3 faces because these ones on the top are meant to be part of the chest, while these ones on the bottom are meant to be part of the arm. Again, it's part of the extra geometry so that the model doesn't look weird when it bends and moves. Okay, so make sure you have all the faces for the upper arm selected. If your selection looks similar to this, it should be good. Make sure you have just the upper half of the faces going to the lower arm, and just the lower half of the faces going to the chest. Okay. Then select upper arm.l and hit assign. Then click out to unselect those faces. You can hit Shift Alt and then click to select a ring of faces, and then hit Shift and select the faces that won't select. Then you have the lower arm selected, so click on lower arm.l, hit assign, and then click out. Then you can just hit L, hover over the paw and hit L to select those faces since there's a seam separating it from the rest of the leg. And then go to hand.l and hit assign. Now click out of that. Now for upper arm.r, simply do the same thing. Select all the faces of the upper arm, assign, and click out to unselect them. Then select all the faces for the lower arm. Click lower arm, hit assign, and then click out to unselect them. Then select the faces for the paw, hit hand, hit assign, and then click off to unselect those faces. Now let's select the faces for the left upper leg. Click upper leg.l, hit assign, and then click off to unselect those faces. Select all the faces for the lower left leg. Make sure you have everything selected. Click lower leg.l, hit assign, and then click off to unselect them. Excuse me. Select all the faces for the ankle. Hit assign, and then click off to unselect everything. Then simply select all the faces for the foot. Make sure you have foot selected, and then hit assign, and then click off to unselect those faces. Then up. Then select the right upper leg, the faces for the right upper leg. Select upper leg.r, hit assign, and then click off to unselect those faces. Select all the faces for the right lower leg. Select lower leg.r, hit assign, and then click off to unselect everything. Select all the faces for the ankle. Make sure you have the ankle selected, hit assign, and then click off to unselect those faces. And then get all the faces for the foot, hit assign, make sure you have foot selected, and then now we can move on to the tail. Now select all the faces for the first part of the tail, hit assign, deselect all of those, select the second part, get tail.2, assign, select those ones, tail.3, assign, then last the tail tip, put that on tail.4 and assign. And that should be everything. Now, and like the basic idea of it is you just select the faces that you want to be associated to that particular bone, and then make sure you have that bone selected and hit assign to add those faces to that bone. Now, if you ever make a mistake and you want to remove faces from a certain bone, simply select the faces that you want to remove from a particular bone, find that bone in the vertex group, and then hit remove. Okay, now we can go out of edit mode, make the rig visible again, and now we get to test to make sure everything is weight painted correctly. Oh, and one thing I believe I might have forgotten, select the first bone for the tail, then select the pelvis bone, hit Control P, and hit keep offset. Otherwise, the tail will not be connected to the body. Okay, now let's go into pose mode, grab this, then just hit G and just kind of wiggle your character around and make sure that, like, you know, kind of fling them off screen to make sure nothing is being stretched out or left behind. You know, you have everything weight painted. Alright, now let's test each individual part to make sure everything is weight painted correctly. Now grab this leg, hit G, kind of move it around a little bit, see if anything weird comes off with the leg. Nothing seems to be doing that. Then hit this one, hit G, just, you know, G to grab it and move it around. Okay, it's good, and then you can just right click to put it back into its default position. Hit G, then wiggle it around, right click to put it back. Hit G, wiggle it around, then hit right click to put it back. Now grab this one and hit R to move this one around. Right click to put it back, hit R to move this one around, right click to put it back, hit R to move this one around, and this one, and just test out your little bones to make sure there's nothing that you don't want moving with certain bones. Okay. I'm sorry, it's just kind of funny wiggling them around. Okay. Then, yeah, it looks like everything is correctly weight painted to its correct spot, which is good, because it is annoying when it is not. Okay. Now, let's save it. And now we will get into making the iris and the pupil be able to move around. Right, so select this mesh, go to I believe it was modifier properties. Yeah. Then hit UV warp. Select iris. Remember, that's important because if you simply have them on the eyes layer, it will take that whole layer and it will shift your entire eyes around. You want the irises, if you want the irises to move independently, you want them on their own layer. Okay, so object from force wind rig, bone from, let's see, where's the head? Here we go, head to force wind rig, and eyes. Go into pose mode, see if that, yup, and we got the eyes moving, folks. But what's that? Force wind is looking a little bit derpy there. Alright, well, there's a simple way to fix that. First, let's get out of pose mode and hide the rig real quick. Okay, grab the mesh, hit tab, go to your object data properties, make sure you have the iris UV map selected, pull this little thing up, go to UV editor, grab one of your eyes, and then just flip it. Okay. Oh, wanna make sure to grab both eyes and just kind of center the pupils a little bit more. It looks a bit cursed right now, but it'll look better in a second. Just wait. Okay, just mess around with the UV map until you have the irises looking good in the correct places. It's not always obvious, like, immediately where the irises are supposed to go. So, like, it's not a big deal. All you have to do is simply, like, just adjust the placement of the UV maps, like, after you set up the rig. And it'll be fine. So, go back to shader editor to get it to tab to go out of edit mode. To get it to stop doing that, just quickly change the offset and then go back, and there you go. Now it's fine again. Yeah, I don't know why Blender does that. My best guess is that Blender is evil and it likes to make you very upset. So just keep calm and just keep calm and work with it until you can get it right. So there you go. Now Forest Wind's eyes are going correctly. Now, one thing you can do to make it so that, Forest Wind's eyes don't just endlessly scroll downward when you endlessly scroll downward is you can make sure to go out of pose mode and select the mesh, and then for the iris texture, change repeat to clip. And then that way, when Forest Wind's eyes roll off of her face, she just has blank eyes. Okay. Now let's save that. Got all this good, tasty, delicious progress done. Now go into this, go into pose mode, grab this bone. Okay, make sure you have the armature selected. Go into object mode. Go into object data properties. Click custom properties. Click add. Click edit. Change the property name to expressions. Change the minimum value to -1. And change the maximum value to maybe 1,000 or something, since that's a really big number. Just so you can keep adding expressions as you want. Then right-click this value right here. Right-click that and copy as new driver. Uh-oh, Blender, don't crash. Okay. Now, go into Forest Wind. Now, go into pull this up. Right click on the offset and hit Ace driver. And then on this one's offset, hit Ace driver. And if it turns pink, don't freak out. Just grab this. Change expression to -1. There you go. It only turned pink like that because I don't have because I only have 2 expressions, so I only have -1 and 0. And yeah. So you can key this value right here, insert keyframe. So, and that is how you can make sure. So now in your rig, you have your expressions for when you decide to mess around and pose your character. Okay, so that would be everything that I have for this part of the tutorial. In the next part, we will, in the next part of the tutorial, which is the final part, we will be animating and rendering this character. And I will show you how to do just a simple little walk cycle. And I'll show you how to make like a cool little PS1 style render. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.